Good morning. I'm Christopher Brannon with the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network.
I'm George Williams from the Northeast Kansas Library System.
And today we are on what episode? I think this is number 20. We are going to be talking about adding some buttons for email processing for bad emails in patron accounts. And before we get into that, just a reminder, we are hosted by koha-US, and you can find everything wonderful or not wonderful about koha-US at koha-us.org. And you'll find all of our videos on the Learn tab under Watch koha-US original training videos.
I'm curious, which number video will this be?
This will be number 20.
It will be number 20 is a good guess.
Finish off another row here. Wow.
So isn't koha-US having a conference soon?
They are. They are having a conference in McKinney, Texas, and the dates, do you recall the dates?
I don't know. I wonder if there's a place on this website where we could find information about that conference.
Sure, bring something up. I don't know exactly where to find it.
I think it's at the top of the page under 2021 conference.
Under, well, let's see here.
No, go up higher, right in the middle, dead center in the header. There you go.
Hey. Apparently it's been a while since I've been on the site there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it says there that the deadline for submitting proposals is Friday, May 21st. That was extended. I don't remember what the new date is. The new date might be after this video, but the conference is coming up. And if you want to go to McKinney, Texas, September 21st through 24th, there'll be more information there soon. If you don't want to go, it's all going to be on Facebook Live and YouTube. I think it'll definitely be YouTube Live. I don't know about Facebook Live, but it'll be in a couple of different, there'll be multiple different ways to interact, either going to Texas or not going to Texas. So,
and it would be great to see people there. I can tell you personally, I enjoy actually going physically to conferences. It's okay to do some stuff online, but I really enjoy the interaction with people, and you don't always get opportunities that you have in person. And outside of the conference times, that's when the connections are really established and made.
Yep, the koha-US conference is a really good conference when you get a chance to go in person.
They are, and we do need some more proposals, because if not, maybe George and I are going to have to relive all of our episodes live.
I could do some proposal. I could do some conference material from previous conferences for the people that haven't seen them before. So, and I think you could probably do the same thing. So
I'm sure we could come up with plenty, but I would rather this not be the George and Christopher show. So
it won't be. There's already plenty of other. There's some good other stuff. I'm on the conference committee, so I know there's some. It won't just be us. It'll be
awesome.
Us and a couple of other people that have presented a lot before. So
I'm looking forward to it. A lot of the things that that we talk about in our videos were actually birthed from ideas and topics in conferences and by other people. And so this is an opportunity to get your ideas out there and see what they turn into. Especially when you share those ideas. We love it when people share things. I share things, and sometimes I think, oh, this is a great idea and it may only work for me, but I'm going to go ahead and share it anyways. And I've actually had a lot of great feedback from people about some of the ideas that I shared that I didn't think were going to amount to much.
I always tell people, if I can stand up in front of a room full of people and talk about the stupid stuff I do, the bar is really low. If you think your idea isn't good enough, my ideas aren't good enough either, but I get up and tell people about them anyway. So don't worry about making a fool out of yourself, because that's what we're good at.
Absolutely. I'm right up there with you. So McKinney, Texas, September 21st through 24th. Exciting times. Okay, so back to our enhancement.
Right, yeah, how to add some buttons to do some workflows
Yeah, so
on emails. The reason we're doing this is because Christopher showed it to me while he was showing me something else a week or two ago. And I said, hey, I want to see more about that. So
yeah, so it was just an idea I was tinkering with, and I handle our bounced email messages. We get messages that emails don't go through, and typically what we do is we have to go in and search for that patron that has that email account, and we will write a message in their account and either remove that email address or do something to get the patron and the staff's attention that something needs to be updated. And that can be a tedious process if you have a few bounced email addresses. So I added some buttons to the member entry form to streamline that process a little bit, make it a little bit less cumbersome to get through. So
I like these kinds of workflows because they're consistent. You're doing if you create a button to do something again and again and again, which what I'm hearing you say is that you're doing this out of laziness. You've spent all this time creating an enhancement so that you don't have to, so that you can, you don't have to spend 10 minutes on this every day. You can do like 2 minutes on this every day and then move on to other tasks. So you probably spent like a couple of hours working on this just so that you could save 8 minutes a day. And but one of the things I like about these kinds of enhancements is that they do make everything consistent.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, it is a convenience, but you're right. It does allow for some consistency because everybody does things a little bit different. And when you have that consistency, it helps the staff when they have to deal with it. They've seen that message, they understand that message, they know right where to go to clear it, what to do. So if everybody's doing it a little bit differently, then it kind of trips them up, slows them down. So this is a good way to keep it consistent.
Yeah.
So before, what I would do is I would go into the account, remove the email address, and put in a lengthy explanation in the messages that showed up here. But there was a couple problems with that. First of all, adding the message here was, I had to manually enter that information, and I had to think of the wording every time I was doing it in the situation. Having the buttons makes that less work for me. I can get through that quickly. But adding that message here also meant that it could be skipped over. People could ignore the message and just plow through and not pay attention to what's going on.
Well, I don't know about your system, but in our system, if you add a message at the Leavenworth Library, the people at the Bonner Springs Library can read the message, but once they communicate to the patron, they can't delete the message. Only the library that creates a message can delete a message.
Oh, wow.
And so that would be an issue for us, is if we were to use the messages for these things. If the patron's going to multiple libraries, they might have staff tell them the same message 5 times, but nobody can delete the message except for the staff member that tells them at the library where the message was created. And I can guarantee you that a patron can go to 5 different libraries and get the message, and the one library, and every one of them is going to say, I can't delete this message. And the person at the library that can delete the message is going to forget to do it. 4 of them are not going to be able to do it, and the one that can do it isn't going to do it. So
you know, that was, you know, this was a little bit easier to get to for me in putting the message in, but you present a very good reason why it might not work for everybody to put it there.
Yeah.
Depending on your system.
Yeah, every system's a little different.
And so what I had decided to do was put it into a restriction, because it stops people in their tracks and forces them to deal with that situation before they move on. Plus, adding the button where I do in the member entry, I can't get to the messages from there. So, you know, the restrictions was a very convenient place for me to do that. So what it ends up looking like, if you go into edit the patron, next to the primary email address, and we've got an email address set up here, is I have 3 buttons, and you can have as many buttons as you want, but these were the 3 common ones that I could fit most of the scenarios in. I could say that the email doesn't exist, the mailbox is full, or the email is blocked or disabled. The first button will actually clear the email address, and because it doesn't exist. The other 2, because I've, you know, the message that I'm getting says that it does exist and there's just issues, I can specify that the mailbox is full, or it's blocked, or it's disabled, and not remove the email address here. So, you know, depending on the situation, it'll remove it or not remove it. And then what it'll do, let me go ahead and place, I'm going to hit that button there. It'll open up a restriction down below, and it'll put in the message and include the email address that we're talking about. So it says that the server reports mailbox, blah, 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 is blocking our notifications or is disabled. We cannot send emails to this account. Patron needs to address the issue with this address or provide a working address. How many times can I say address in a message? So puts that down here. You also notice that the comment field is a little bit longer. Since I was putting such a lengthy message down here, I thought, you know, it's probably better to have a bigger text box for that message. So I increased that in here, and so we'll talk about that as well. So all I have to do when I'm dealing with this patron is find the patron, edit them, click the appropriate button.
It's like multiple choice.
Yes. And if needed, I can put more specifics in there if I wanted to.
Right.
Because I'm, you know, trying to make this as easy and painless for myself, I probably won't alter the message. And then I'll save it. And the patron is restricted and asking you to deal with this in some way. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this restriction. And let's take a look at the code together.
Okay.
All right. And I've gone ahead and put it all in here. We'll just go line by line. So the first part of this is the resizing of that debarred comment. I'm just making that bigger. Ideally, I would have made this a text box, but then I would have had to go through some conversion to make that work. I probably, if I had given it, I haven't tested this, so it'll take some playing around with, but I probably could have just deleted the this particular field and replaced it with a text box with the same name, and that might have been sufficient. So, you know, some playing around, but for the time being, this is sufficient for what I need. I just needed a little bit bigger.
Right. So the issue there is that it's an input, not a text box.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So next part of this is looking at the email field, and it is checking the text in there, and if it is not blank, it is going to add these buttons. So if the field is blank, there are no buttons.
Okay.
If I go in here, pull this out of here. Now it doesn't change it on the fly if I just delete it, but if I go in
if
here,
you load that and there's nothing in there, it's not even going to show you the buttons.
correct, no buttons. So, all right, so it's adding the buttons, and so here's where you can set up which button, what buttons you have and what the buttons are labeled as.
Right.
And then the next part here.
And so each button must have an ID, a unique ID in there.
Yes, yeah, they have a unique ID. So email does not exist, email full, or email blocked. So there's 3 sections here, depending on which button they click. So this section right here deals with the email does not exist. So
right.
First thing it'll do is it will open the, if your restrictions section is collapsed, if you're using the collapse feature, it's going to open that, and then it's going to click the add manual restriction, so that field is opened up. It'll populate that debarred comment field with information. So it is going to it's taking the email address. In this particular case, it's putting the email address there. So it's copying the text from the email field, and it says it's removed from account. So it's taking that email and saying that email is removed from the account. Server reports this address does not exist. Please update patron contact information. And then it clears that email field. So it was the one instance where we know that address doesn't exist, so we might as well go ahead and pull it out of there altogether. So copied it over, and I like to specify the email address I'm talking about, because sometimes patrons will have a couple different email addresses. So it's very good to specify in the message what email address you're talking about. So that's why I copy that over and give generic enough information that it applies to this situation, and they know enough so that they can proceed, and then clear that field out. So that's what that first button does. The other 2 buttons are very similar, other than they both do not clear out that field. The address exists, there's just an issue with them. One will report that the mailbox is reporting that it's full and we can't send an email. And the next section is saying that it is blocked or disabled. And we can't send to that, and they need to do something with that address as well. And then that's pretty much it.
I don't have to do that so much at this job, but at my previous job, I had to do a lot of this. And so this would have been a big help. And I don't know why I didn't think of it myself at some point. Because I'm just as lazy as you are.
And I have plans down the road. You can do this for your secondary email, but really the system is not sending anything to that secondary email.
Right.
But you could duplicate this to work for that secondary email if you wanted to. There's also an email field in the alternate address.
Right.
One idea that I had was to do something similar to this for SMS messages. So where they put in their SMS information, I don't remember. Yeah, it's down here. So
it's way down. Yeah.
Putting similar buttons there and having the same functionality. And if it's reporting, because it's going through an email system, you're going to get bounced messages. And I do that on occasion. You can pull it out of there. Sometimes in our system, I have some links where I can verify carriers. Sometimes they have the wrong carrier.
Right.
And I can go and verify it and change it for them. So, but there are different areas that you could put similar buttons and similar functionality in there so that you can streamline dealing with those issues as they crop up.
Yeah, I have buttons for creating passwords and for simple things like creating usernames and passwords. I think are where I use them the most, because I have a lot of has never been, since we've got 52 libraries, there's never been like a uniform way. I know some libraries, the password is automatically your last name, or it's automatically part of your phone number, or things like that. And here we've got 52 libraries, and about 40 of them are doing big different things. Then there's no consistency among the libraries of what they're using for a password. So I've got buttons to make those easy to fill in for staff at different places. And some of them are using the card number as the username, and some of them are using the default, which is like first name dot last name, or it might be last name dot first name. But since you can't have, they have to be unique. You can't have two people with the same username. So if there's two John Smiths, when you create the second one, Koha can't use that as a default, things like that. So I've got some different buttons to create those, but I've never thought of using them for blocking people or adding content to the restricted account restrictions. That's really good. I like that.
So that's pretty much it for today. A very short episode, but helpful.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
Have to see if there's a way I can adapt this for our libraries.
All right. Well, until next time, see you later.
See you all later.